Hi everyone and welcome to my studio. This is so exciting. My name is Gideon and I'm also known as Gideon's Light, and I'm here to be your creatively fit coach. So grab your canvas, grab your paints and your art journal and join me in my studio as I show you how profound it can be in your life if you allow some space to be creative. So join me now as I show you how. Hello everybody, it is me Gideon. Welcome to my studio. Let me just get myself seated here. Today we are going to play with the color yellow. It's very obvious, isn't it? So, welcome to my creative weekly prompts, and it is my joy and inspiration to share with you guys some creative prompts that can get you going in your art journal. Now, for the last 2 weeks, we have been playing with the color red, and last week we played with the color orange. So do check out these episodes on my channel if you would like to see what we did with those colors and if you want to play along. So the other part of my prompt for this week is not only all of your art supplies in the color yellow, but also we're going to be playing or taking inspiration from the star shape and from zigzags, both either or. That is just the idea. So let me just move some of these acrylic inks and paints out of the way so that we can get started on our weekly prompts. Let me just turn this protective page around this way so that when we play with our wet mediums we don't stain the pages on the underneath. Okay, so you guys, let's get playing with our yellow art supplies, and I like to get started with just a marker just to get the creative juices flowing and to activate our page. So I think a good idea that I want to repeat that we used last week was to use both sides of the page, but in a positive negative kind of way that sort of brings in a little bit of contrast. So I'm going to attempt to draw a beautiful big star. So please forgive me if my star is a little bit what shall we call it, unbalanced or lopsided. I am not a professional star drawer. But let's see what we can do. There we go. It's a little bit off the page, but I think that's a good beginning, a good suggestion. So let's use another. This is my Sharpie, and I think it's a little bit darker. Another way you can draw stars, of course, is just to do two inverted triangles on top of each other. So it's a little bit more complicated than just a triangle. And the other way you can draw a star is the 5-pointed star. I'm going to try is just to do a little crisscrossy thing like that. I have to concentrate to make this shape work for me. Clearly I'm not a pagan, so I don't know how to do that perfectly, but with practice we can do anything we set our minds to. So we've got some stars going here. I think that's exciting. Let's switch to another medium. Let's see what this yellow orange will do. So it's obviously a bit of a combination of orange and yellow, and I think it's a nice way to sort of continue the story that we had on the previous page. So you guys, so welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, I'm a creatively fit coach, and it is my joy and inspiration in the world to help people to develop a creative practice and to get out of this whole idea that you must produce art that is worth money, or that you can hang in a studio or on a wall for it to be called art, to be worthy to be called art. So, and also to break this whole idea of perfectionism. It really is all about just expressing yourself and allowing yourself to just have fun and to discover what your art supplies can do and how you can use them in a way that you maybe haven't thought about using it before. So I like to play in all my mediums that I have available in my studio. I've got some water-soluble oil pastels. I've got some ordinary oil pastels. I've got some markers, crayons, and of course, paint. I also have watercolor. I must admit I haven't taken it out yet to add to this particular spread, but you know, I like to sort of play with a medium where we can see what it can bring you and where we can take this. So let's try this Lucas Scroll Studio pastel yellow, and I had some squeezed out here on my palette. And let's just create a nice foundation on our page and see where it takes us. So please, if you're new to this channel, why don't you hit that subscribe button and tell us where you are watching this video from. Then, you know, if you have any questions or you would like to share with me what you do to have a creative practice, please drop a comment. I'd love to chat with you and just to see how you practice your creativity in your studio. For me, a creative practice is a way to relax, to get to know my art materials, and to find some inspiration, because you know, you can always come back to your art journal later and reference, you know, little things that you did in your art journal that you thought was particularly cute or inspirational, or that worked well for you as far as your color palette was concerned, or shapes that you did. So I'm just painting around these little stars with this very pastel pale yellow. It looks almost exactly the same as the beige, so you won't see a lot of contrast right now. And you know, it's another way to gain brush mileage, you know, a way to practice painting around things and giving some directionality and volume to your shapes. And then to see how you can layer that and maybe even add collage elements to it, any other mediums that can give you some contrast and that can help you to have fun. So I do have a creative community on YouTube as well. There will be a link in the description below, so do join us there. I do encourage my group members to share photographs from their art journals, their junk journals, and on Fridays we share our other art with our community. So I create, you know, plenty of opportunity and space for you to express yourself and to share in our community. where we can encourage you and support you in your creative practice. So I'm going to switch to this Dala yellow ochre, and let me try the same brush but a different let me use a smaller one. So much fun. So because I'm not going to mix it with another color, I can just use it straight from the jar, and I'm just going to fill in some of these negative spaces. Now again, I like to address this whole idea of perfectionism. There's absolutely nothing wrong with being a perfectionist. I think there's a lot of careers and situations in our world where perfectionism, or at least, like I prefer to call it, excellence, is very important. You would expect your doctor to practice with excellence. Otherwise, that could be a problem. So, but art is definitely a place. I mean, excellence has its place in art. But what I'm referring to as perfectionism is something that blocks you or prevents you from trying, prevents you from playing and from experimenting, because we are so um, trained to think that everything must be perfect for it to be acceptable and to be called art. So I want to break people free from that limiting idea that you have to create perfectly in order to be an artist or to have a creative practice. And it's easy to look at art, any form of it, and say, oh, you know what, I can do that. But the minute you pick up a brush and you realize, oh, this is a bit more challenging than I thought it would be, then to lay down the brush again and say, okay, well, art is clearly not for me. So there's a lot of benefits to having an art practice, a creative practice, health benefits, mental health, and so forth. So I do encourage people to have a creative practice of some sorts to help you experience those benefits, like lowering your blood pressure, sleeping better, dealing with all of your challenges on a daily matter. It can be a little mental holiday. I've got some paint on my hand that I would just like to wipe off. There we go. So this is why I decided to create these prompts and to play in my art journal, and then to discover through this process, what is your art ethos? What is the message that you want to convey through your art? What is the big why for it to exist and to be created? And I think that can be a massive breakthrough. Now, for me, the why is really just to relax, to experiment, to play, and to have fun, and to see where it will take me. Let's use this yellow ochre here in the middle of this big star and make the star sort of stand out better. I think it's supposed to come up a little bit. Let's see how that translates. So I hope you guys have been playing in your art journals and creating some beautiful pages in your art journal. I know there are a lot of channels that do art journaling and they focus on various things. And for me, this art journal practice is going to be all about trying new things. So as we go forward with our creative prompts, we are going to be exploring different materials, and I'm going to show you how you can use those materials to play in your art journal. I'm really trying to create a beautiful star here. Here we go. That looks like a star, sort of. You can see there's this childlike expression And I give myself permission to make mistakes, to just try. And I'm practicing a lot of things like tolerance, patience, kindness, self-acceptance, self-love, and just recognizing my own worth, not only as a person but as an artist as well. And the next time I'm going to do a star, I'm going to, do it easier, or it won't be as challenging. Now you can go and you get a template, or you get a stencil, or you measure things out. If that's your thing, then please go ahead, measure things out and enjoy the perfection in that. Let nothing hold you back, because that is in the end the whole idea, is just to allow things to evolve and to have fun, play and have fun. I don't think we have enough fun in our day-to-day schedules, and you can't wait just for the weekend to have fun. You need to do something every day to bring some fun and playfulness into your life, and see how that can improve a lot of things in your life. Great. So I think this little ochre star is ready to be embraced. Let's switch to a different medium. What have we got here? Oh, I like this Dollar and Ronnie FW Anthelo Brown. Now brown is technically not yellow, but this golden brown is based in yellow. So even though it's dark and it is more of a natural, I quite like the depth that it can provide. So let's use it. Where shall we use it? This page looks like it wants to be the dark side. The dark side of the stars. So I'm just gonna get some ink there, and let's see what happens when we bring some water to this little shape. And immediately you can see the reference I have in it to the color yellow. Even though it's dark and it's brown, you can see it is related. Let's splatter. That's fun. Okay, let's add some more. There's some triangles here that I like to finish as well. Let's see where it takes the overall design of this art journal page. I mean, it can only get better from here. I like to sort of play with the layers, and later we can even add some collage. Now I don't add collage right now because I think that's something that I would like to introduce to the art journal later, when that becomes our specific focus. So, but if you're comfortable, familiar with collage, then please go ahead and add some collage to your page and take a photograph, share it with us on our Facebook page, because that is where we share with our community and we inspire each other. So one of the things that this creative practice does is it develops your right brain as a muscle. So I want you to think of this as a right brain gym, so to speak, because as you work in your art process, you want to rely on your artistic intuition, and the only way to develop that is through practice. Practice, practice, practice. I mean, if you are an athlete then you will practice running and you will go to the gym and you will strengthen your muscles and you will have a practice that will support your sport or your athleticism, what is the word? And then, you become better at it. So I don't know why people have this idea that art should be so elementary that you don't need to practice. You just pick up a brush and do it. And to some degree, that's right. But also, when we start talking about creating art that is beautiful and that you successfully translate what you were thinking and what you were imagining and what you were intending to place on your canvas, you can find that it doesn't come that easily. It's a little bit harder than a lot of people thought. And then, there's this immediate next conclusion that people draw, like, oh, then I'm not supposed to be an artist. This is reserved for the weird and the wonderful freaks out there. And you know what? I believe differently. And I like to encourage people to discover that for themselves. So this is one way to practice and to experiment and to play without this pressure that we place on ourselves, especially as Westerners, to produce. And when you have an expensive canvas in front of you, you have expensive art supplies, then it is very easy to think, oh my word, I have to produce now, I have to perform. And that can create creative blocks within us. Then we come to a stage in our painting and in our creating process where we feel like we are failing and we begin to procrastinate, and long before long that process just gets halted and that painting never gets finished. So one place where you can play and experiment without pressure is in your art journal. And on my on my Facebook group, I've got so many platforms where I'm busy creating and inspiring people. We play in an art journal that we created from scratch with recycled paper. So check that out as well. And see where that can take you, because it's fun. Let me show you. In fact, this is one of my creative journals that I created, focusing specifically on the color yellow. And I'd just like to quickly show you guys how these little exercises can create little interesting pages. And this is all recycled paper that I use. And it's such fun because later when I go through this journal, I can find inspirational shapes and lines that I created in this journal that I can take to the canvas and repeat these little ensembles or patterns or movements that I particularly enjoyed and had fun in creating. And so by the time I get to playing on a canvas and wanting to create something specific and beautiful, I already have a library of inspiration that is available to me, and I'm already familiar with a particular color combination, a color palette, or a particular vibe that I created. This is a very interesting line exercise that I did that sort of works on topography that you will find on maps. Bringing all these things into an art journal is a way where you can play and express and see how that will work out and how that will communicate creatively what you're trying to communicate. Like, I learned that I really enjoy this kind of shape, but I didn't know that before until I started playing in my art journal. So you can see how simple and easy this is. It doesn't have to be complex. It can just be simple and fun and inspirational. You can try things until the cows come home. Let's see if we add a little bit more stars into this background. And then the fun thing is you can always layer on top of the other. You know, it doesn't have to be just one dimensional. And that's when it starts to become really interesting as a little page in your art journal. There's no right or wrong. Some pages will be ugly in the end or in the process of creating it. Other pages will be beautiful and will inspire you. But this is the point. Even if it's ugly, it's a practice in self-love, in accepting even the ugly art that you create, because this is the reality of art. Not every art page or canvas or piece of art that you create will be perfect, will be lovable, will be beautiful to you. Some of it will be really ugly, some of it will be a complete failure. But at least you walked away and you learned something. Either there was something wrong with the composition or your color palette, or something in the painting or in the exercise can be improved upon. And that's a valuable lesson that no one can take away from you. So when you come back to that page later, when it's dry and you discover, okay, you know what, I would like to define this better, you can add another layer to it. No one is going to judge you on this, because this is for you and for you alone. However, I do encourage you to share it with us so that we as a community can support you in your creative practice too. And you know what, it's inspirational to see how other people took the same colors and the same prompt idea and how you interpret it and how you played with it. And that inspiration is invaluable. It becomes like a library. So I want to encourage you to get out your art journal, your art supplies, get out everything that you own that is yellow, and see how you can play with it and combine it, and use the stars and the zigzag shapes as a way to get started in your page and take it from there. So I hope this creative little prompt was inspirational for you. I'm going to continue to play on this, and I will share an image of this at the end of this video, and also on my Instagram page. You can find me at Gideon's Light Art, and I'm happy to share with you guys. So thank you for tuning in. Remember to subscribe and hit that like button, and I will see you guys again next week when we play with our next art prompt. So thanks for tuning in. Bye bye for now.